Hey guys, I'm Jerry Miculek, and I still got too much stuff here to give away. Give you an idea of what we did at the beginning of last month. We met our 300,000 subscribers. We gave away a JM Pro shotgun. We got another one to give away at the beginning of next month. We have a Vortex Razor 1x6 telescopic sight. Really good unit, guys, what I use in competition. And we also have the Vortex Razor red dot sighting system. So we have all this to give away beginning of next month. So what we need you to do is subscribe, like, and comment on our videos, and get your name in the hat. We want to give all this stuff away. So, with all that said, we're going to head to the range. We've got a Coonan 357 Magnum semi-automatic handgun, guys. This fires the rim cartridge the same as you use in a revolver. So it's an interesting concept. It's all stainless steel. We're going to take it out to the range and see how it does. Hey guys, we're out on the range, and I can see that you noticed already. Downrange, we have some MGM C-zone targets. And what's special about these targets, they're 500 Bernal, so they're actually armor plate. So that means I'm going to be shooting something pretty powerful. And what I have for you today, guys, is the Kunan 357 Magnum semi-automatic pistol. So the only thing I did with this pistol, I took it out of the box, put some Lucas Extreme gun oil on it. It's a stainless steel gun. It's brand new. I haven't fired it. I haven't sighted it in. I've got a C-zone down there, and I have my trusty timer. So why don't we see, like we usually do on our show, just take it out of the box and shoot it. Let's go ahead and shoot that center target 6 times as fast as we can. And see if we can keep them in the middle here. All right, eyes and ears, everybody. All right, on the timer, here we go. 6 in the middle, ready? Yeah, that thing got a little thump to it there. Woo-hoo. Yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got a couple of them to the left. Wow. That was actually 91 100ths of a second for 6 rounds. They got away from me a little bit going to the left. That thing has a good bit of torque to it. First time out of the box, pretty exciting. That ammunition is probably doing a good 1,400 feet a second. 158 grain Hornady XTP. So when you get into cartridges that are over the speed of sound, and this one especially, it's going probably 1,400 feet a second, maybe even faster with different ammunition. So the target quality at that distance means a lot to the shooter for safety reasons. So, and what's interesting about the 357 Magnum cartridge, when you're talking about velocity, that was the reason it was invented back in 1934. Law enforcement needed a high-powered pistol handgun cartridge to go through car bodies back in the gangster era. 45s, the Thompson submachine gun wasn't making it. The 1911 and 45 was not noted to penetrate automobiles all that well. So Colt came out with the 38 Super. So that was a 130 grain bullet, about 1,200 feet a second. So Smith & Wesson at that time started listening to the old pioneers back then, Elmer Keith, Phil Sharp, D.P. Wesson, and they were all hot rodding the 38 special cartridge to higher pressure. It was called a 38-44. It could only be shot in the big end frame 44 caliber, end frame 38 caliber guns that were full size. So the evolution of that was a cartridge that was a little bit longer than a 38 special, and the reason for that is this chamber pressure is probably 6 times that of the original 38 special round, which was a black powder round. So if you could have put one of these in a black powder gun, you probably would have wrecked it in one shot. So they made it longer so it wouldn't interchange. And this Kunan pistol is probably one of the only 2 semi-automatic handguns in the world that is actually chambered for a rim cartridge and, of course, 357 Magnum. So let's try something a little different. I know what you're thinking, guys. That was pretty fast, but you didn't hit anything. I'm going to change my grip technique a little bit. We're going to try that same Hornady 158 XTP ammo and see if we can get them in the middle of the target here as fast as we can. Here we go, target in the middle. Yeah, get some. I had to go a little bit slower That was actually 1.04 one-hundredths of a second. So I had to slow down about a tenth of a second to keep them in the middle. Guys, that's a lot of horsepower coming out of that pistol there. That 158 full power ammo is about all I want today. So we're gonna swap that up and try something different. I know what you're thinking, guys. There's 3 targets downrange. Let's give them all a little bit of love here. We got 6 rounds again. We're gonna start on the left, 2 on the left, 2 on the center, and 2 on the right, and see if we can do it at the same amount of time, about a second. And here we go, left to right. 2 on each. Yeah, get some. Let's take a look. Exactly. Well, it was actually 100th of a second less than a second. So 99 100ths of a second for 2 on each. Changed my grip technique a little bit, and that's pretty exciting. What's interesting about this Kunan, I think it's one of the only 2 semi-automatic pistols now chambered for 357 Magnum. So I think the Desert Eagle is one, and this Kunan. So not a lot of semi-autos in the caliber. It's a very powerful round. Let's do something different. One of the things that made this cartridge famous for law enforcement was its ability to shoot through hardcover. I've got a truck door there. I've got some 2-liter bottles behind it. It's 158 grain full load, just like it was back in the day. And I'm gonna take a knee and make it happen and see if we can get those bottles behind the door. All right, eyes and ears. Here we go. I saw a little spray on the backside. We're clear. Let's go take a look. What you want to remember, guys, back in the 30s, a lot of big, heavy automobiles, a lot of bad guys. Law enforcement had 38 special revolvers, really wasn't cutting the mustard. The word was out, they needed better cartridges to shoot against hard targets like an automobile. So 357 Magnum, guys. Once you start getting past the speed of sound, good things start to happen. So this is just a standard Hornady XTP, a 158 grain bullet, which is actually made for soft targets. And I shot it about 10, 15 feet. We'll give you an idea what it did there. It went right on through the door in a pretty much an exact straight line. And I had 2 test mediums back here. This was the first bottle, and it impacted it just about 2 inches off the bottom, and it wrecked that one really good, and smashed on through the second one. So you see, even after going through an automobile door, center punching that and going through 2 1-liter bottles, it still had enough energy to go back into the berm somewhere. So that's what really made this cartridge famous. It had enough velocity, it had enough bullet weight to make it effective, so a law enforcement officer could carry a good revolver and solve the problem should he need to. So there you have it, guys, a semi-automatic 357 Magnum. We shot about 40 rounds out of it, not a malfunction. What I was really surprised at was how much recoil I had with the 158 grain Magnums. I do have to say it's been a while since I shot full caliber 158 Magnums. I have a lot of J frames and N frames in 357, but in that semi-automatic platform, without that cylinder gap, it was a little bit different. So different experience, has a pivoting trigger. It's a full stainless steel gun. A little bit we shot it, it was 100%. Kind of give you a brief history about the 357 Magnum again. Back in the 30s, there was some interest in handgun hunting. Elmer Keith, Phil Sharp, D.P. Wesson all got together and kind of pioneered they were hot rodding 38 Special. So the final product was a cartridge that you could not chamber in a 350, I mean in a 38 Special. They made it 1/8 of an inch longer, so you couldn't put it in the old weaker guns. Law enforcement latched onto it. What they were looking for in the 30s, of course, there was the gangster era. You had big automobiles, big heavy trucks, and the trooper wanted something he could penetrate automobiles with, and that 357 Magnum actually did the job splendidly. And when I was a kid, everybody, all the law enforcement officers carried Model 66s or Model 19 Smith & Wesson. So it wasn't up until the late 70s, early 80s where the semi-automatics, the 40 calibers and the 9mm actually started phasing out the 357 Magnum. So it's got a long history. It's interesting. You can have anything from a 95 grain bullet, guys, to a 210 grain bullet. So there's a big spectrum of performance there in that cartridge. I know in the Smith & Wesson revolvers, I shot a lot of 230 grain bullets and 200 grain bullets when I shot bowling pins, and I tried to shoot them at about 1,100 feet a second. So in a revolver, one thing that's interesting about a revolver, that cartridge did not function the handgun. Of course, in a semi-automatic, you have to keep the velocity, pressure relatively the same, so you have 100% reliability. So Anyway, guys, that's the 357 Magnum. I would like for you guys to subscribe to Miculek.com and like us on Facebook, and keep it posted, guys.